Okay, welcome everybody to our regular meeting for the City Council of the City of Perry. Let's go ahead and call our meeting to order and have roll call.
Coffee.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall. Here. Davis. Here. Coldiron.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown. Wortham.
Here. All right, we've got quorum. And tonight our invocation will be by Joshua Bell, Reverend Dr. PhD, all the above.
All that stuff. Let's pray. Gracious and loving God, we come before you today with gratitude for the opportunity to serve this community and its people. We ask that you would grant us wisdom, compassion, and clarity as we work together to address the needs of those we represent. Help us to continue to listen with open hearts, to speak with respect, to decide with integrity, always seeking the common good. Almighty God, I ask that you bless this council, our city, and all who live and work here. May our efforts bring justice, peace, and growth to this community as we cherish. Guide us in unity and purpose so that all we do reflects your grace and care. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Josh. Before you take off,
Yep.
how are things going with FCC?
We have people.
You got people?
Yeah,
All
with Live Nativity is starting on Sunday. It'll go from Sunday till Christmas Eve. It'll go from 5:30 to 8.
Nice.
I think somebody did the math. It's our 45th year that they've been doing it in our church.
Wow.
We've had everything from camels to sheep and goats and bunny rabbits. So this year we'll have a donkey and some lambs and some heathen children running around, and yeah, it's great. We'll have a Christmas Eve service at 8 this year. We used to do 2, and we just decided this year it'd be fun just to do 1 and 8 o'clock in the evening, and so we now have 3 worship services on Sunday, so it's working pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So with the nativity, is this just drive by or is this stop?
Yeah, it's a drive-by. Anybody can just drive by, and there'll be music playing and interactions, stuff like that. So,
Excellent.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Any questions about the Live Nativity?
No, but it was going on when I was in high school, so it's not exactly 45 years, but it's getting pretty close.
I mean, nobody knew that you graduated high school 35 years ago, Randy. Oh man, I just aged myself. So anyway, anything else?
Anything else, Kelsey?
Are you going to be the baby?
Hmm?
Are you going to be the baby?
I sometimes get to play the baby. I usually lay down on the ground kicking and screaming, so that works. So yeah. So no. Other than that, I'm gonna go smoke some more meat. So
All right.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you,
all
Josh.
right,
Thank
see you all later. Take it easy. Oh, and before I forget, I wanted to say thank you to you guys for all of the hard work that you've been doing. It has not gone unnoticed. The open hearing meetings and all of the conversations that you guys have had. I'm very, very proud of you guys to keep up the good work. I very much appreciate everything that you guys have been doing all the way around. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Meant to
Thank
say
you.
that, I totally forgot.
Thank you.
And see you. Thank you. All right. So let's start off with item number 1, our consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. Motion and second.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Coldiron.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Okay, item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to items on the city agenda or citizens presenting their concerns or comments. I believe we have a few. Ms. Ives, would you like to start us off this evening?
Well, you know why I'm here. It's called drainage problem. We have yet to get it taken care of. Why?
Where is
Our
specific
mayor may
place?
not understand.
A specific area or?
Scoville Hughes area. It was one that we went through the commissioners and everything on. And we got everything approved and okayed, and they're supposed to be working on it. But we haven't seen much work at all, and it should have already been at least halfway done, but it's not. And this problem has been since the neighborhood was built, because I'm one of the people who built the house there. And we've been there all this time, and my dad talked to people that need to be talked to about that problem, and it never was taken care of. It took 46 years, 45, because it was last year that we had it approved and everything. I believe it was last year, wasn't it?
The work that was done, yeah.
Well, then it was the year before, so it was 44, 45 years, I believe it's 45 years, that it took to get the city of Perry to acknowledge that there was a problem about the drainage. And we have more than one person that has a problem with their yard, that flows and the water flows into the yard, and it takes it away. My dad had put a new, before he died, he brought in a truckload of dirt and put it in the backyard and everything. That truckload is gone now. And I know that you're not going to replace it because you depend on us to do that to our own yard. Well, it's because of you all that we still have the drainage problem. So when's it going to get worked on and fixed?
That we can follow up on. Nate, would you follow up on that?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Schofield and Hughes, you said?
Hughes Sorrell.
Sorrel
Um,
and Hughes?
Yeah.
Behind baseball fields, Nate, they're.
Also known as the Tire Dish.
Right.
Charged. I'm familiar. Yeah, I'll follow up and see what's going on.
Mr. Goldar knows all about it. Mr. Coffey does too.
Awesome. We'll talk now. Thank you.
I know that our new mayor doesn't understand that. And I'm not screaming and hollering and anything like that, but I do know that that lady got some things done, but it did not completely take care of her problem. Because from the two streets up, all that water's coming down and hitting her, and I call it the alleyway, you all call it something else, gets flooded. But it's all the houses as that water comes down. So we still need that work. We've been needing it since the neighborhood was built. And I know in 1978 is when they finished our house and we moved in. So it needs to get taken care of, guys. I don't know anything more.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Nate,
I
you
don't-
can report on that to us this next meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also have another problem while I'm up here. And that's probably the problem that you all will get ready to talk about. And that if our water and electricity and sewer and everything goes up $50, people like me that's on Social Security, I can't pay for it. I'm on an average bill plan that's supposed to help me, but sometimes the average bill all year long is higher than my regular bill is. I don't understand that completely, but I still pay my bill. But everything gone up, and you all know it too. If your food's gone up, you know, insurance has gone sky high. And I got a bill the other day, it was $38 more than it was last month. And they expect me to have that much money? I'm sorry, I live off Social Security and I just barely make ends meet. There's been 5 months this year that I haven't had money for food. Now, that's how it's going to hurt me. And I'm not the only senior citizen in this town. So I've said my part, and I hope that you all consider that, because there's a lot of seniors in this town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I believe we had Miss Felicia.
So I'm also here to touch on the rate increase, unfortunately. I wanted to also thank Lawrence. I know he took time to meet with me and they answered my phone call. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to meet with us. I know you guys are busy on this. I'm gonna pass out out some numbers for you guys. That's
Thank you.
for the council members.
Thank
I
you.
don't know everybody
Thank
yet.
you.
Thank you.
There's that top sheet if you need it. So my name's Felicia. My husband and I moved here just a couple of years ago. And I want to start by saying a few nice things we really like about Perry. We really like the parks. We really like the Y. But definitely we were a little shocked when we got our utility bills. So I felt like I needed to kind of look in to why the rates were so high here. And I know there's been a statement kind of said multiple times about how the water and sewage is at the state it's at because we're not keeping up with inflation on our end. But if you look at the numbers of what we pay for electric, I kind of think that statement is a little bit misleading because I know if you guys did the chart to compare us to other towns, but if you just did utilities all together, I think that chart would just look a little bit different. So I kind of think that statement is misleading. And then I started looking into some salaries of what the city of Perry is paying to some of these other towns. And I'm gonna focus a lot on Guthrie just because, I mean, Guthrie's about 11,000 people, and I think they do a fantastic job with their small businesses. I mean, every time there's an article printed about a small town to visit in Oklahoma, Guthrie is on that list. And I really think Perry, I mean, we have Guthrie energy. Our downtown is really cool. We could get there. So I wanted to point out some things that I found. And the two biggest ones were the city attorney and the financial officer. So over the last 5 years, the Perry has paid the city attorney $715,000 and the chief financial officer $566,000. And then if you look at the city of Guthrie, they've paid their city attorney over the last 5 years $192,000. And their city clerk acts as their chief financial officer. So over the last 5 years, the city of Guthrie has been able to put $1.1 million back into their city that Perry has not been able to because of these two salaries alone. I know you guys initially talked about a 41% decrease in the base rate on electric, and I really hope you would relook at that when you guys vote on that today, because I do think there have been enough people come to these meetings and say like, this increase is going to affect them very negatively. And I also point out, since you guys started talking about this even a few weeks ago, there's more businesses downtown up for sale currently now than even 4 weeks ago. So another city that also has some, so Pawnee, they don't use a chief financial officer. If you look at theirs. Blackwell, I noticed on theirs that, again, chief financial officer and their city attorney fees were also very high. They're also about a town of 6,000 people, so close to Perry. And when I started looking, I recognized that they also use the same city attorney that we use and the same CFO, Mitchum CPA. So I asked that going forward, I know we have to increase this rate because I don't want, to run out of water either. That was pretty terrible last year. That was a first for our family, not having water for a week. But maybe a goal for 2025 would be to cut some of this internal spending and being very transparent going forward about why we're in this position. Because it's not that we haven't paid enough for utilities. Because if you look over the last 5 years and just look at utilities as a whole, Perry does pay plenty in utilities with their electric. I think a better goal would be, again, just to cut a lot of internal spending and support the small businesses. And I do, again, take the time for you guys listening to this really choppy presentation. I do apologize, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, but I did feel like compelled to speak because I do personally know a lot of people on a fixed income that this is going to negatively affect. So, and I do think there's money here that's being spent the wrong way. So I did want to bring it to your attention because I know there's a lot of people on the council who are business owners. So you wouldn't run your own businesses this way. So I don't want you to run the city of Perry this way because, you know, it's our hard-earned money. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right. Was there anyone else that had anything? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ives and Felicia, sharing that with us. Appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
But now we will continue on, and I would actually like to make a little change. We're going to move item 10 up next. And the reason being, I think we can segue that into talking about our rates next. This was something that we had tabled before, and so I felt it would be appropriate to go ahead and talk about this first on our agenda. Item 10 being, consider changes in utility rates as follows. There we've got each of those points on there. Council, we've been talking about this collectively as a council for months. We began researching this. As soon as we hired Nate, we asked him to start digging into utility rates. So this is something that us as a council has been working on for the better part of this entire year. We've had 2 town hall meetings, and we've had this on the agenda now this is our 4th regular city council meeting that we've had the utilities on there. Is there anything new that anybody on the council has heard from the community or want to bring up that has not been discussed thus far, since that is why we tabled it last meeting?
I do.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Similar to what we just heard, same things there. Of course, a lot of people do understand what we're up against. But maybe they don't necessarily see everything that we were requesting. So we were kind of selling this. I believe the primary thing that was being sold was water issues. And although just because we approve the rates where they're at doesn't mean that's an expenditure, but we also have an idea of where that money is going to go. And only less than a third of that $950 that we talked about is actually going towards water projects. And that's one of the concerns that I had when people came talking to me about it, and they're worried that this is going to fix the water problems, but only a third of that, is going towards that. So I do have a handout as well. I'd like to hand out if I could. I'll split it up. This is just, so when council first brought this up, the idea was initially to break even on water and sewer, where we are not today, and where did you get enough?
I think most of them are this way.
I've got electronic version. Is it what I emailed? Okay.
Do we need more? Initially, what council requested was that we break even in water and sewer, where we had been transferring money over from electric previously. And what this proposal does is kind of breaks out what we talked about previously in a little bit different way. I believe all the numbers are still here to a certain extent, but I guess the way I would like to approach this is almost in a phased approach where the break-even number here is reducing electric, which we haven't been discussing lately, and that would be a wash on the bill in the initial phase. And then we come back and talk about the projects that need to be done. So in our current proposals, the amount of increase that we would need in year one would be 12.4% with it at the current proposal that we had today. That's because we had the 100,000 in electric, and what we were at was 35%, and that was possibly some other expenditures in other areas, and I have those broke out here. I don't know if we want to call these projects or not, the water projects or projects, but to cover the water projects in this proposal, it would be an 18.7% increase, which would get us the same dollar amount that was requested. And
So Derek, that would cover the shortfall in day-to-day operations? And puts money aside for repairing the projects that we've got on the books?
this column here would cover the shortfall.
Which,
The breakdown the break even for WNS would cover the shortfall. My other issue was that our current proposal, when we had asked that we covered that shortfall, we had basically outlined an expenditure for every dollar that we were increasing the rates for. So we weren't actually getting our operations covered because we had plans to expend every dollar. So by doing the column for break even, that would get our water and our sewer back in line. But according to the package that was brought up as a whole, that would also make us more enticing, probably help with economic development and things like that as well, because our electric rate would be adjusted. And then we could come back and look at these other increases for capital pay increases and any other projects as rate increases as well. But the way it's done here is the water projects would go against the water rates, and things like capital that is across everything would be rate increases across all sources, electric, water, and sewer, if this was more in line with what you guys think. So,
This makes no sense.
So your plan would be to raise electric even more than it is today?
we decreased to begin with.
So you're wanting to decrease it?
Electric would end up with a net 10% decrease overall by doing this.
And
Now,
then
how
water-
you allocate that 10% decrease between
Right.
residential, commercial, and industrial would be different. But, I mean, you can do it however you want it, but there would be a net $888,000 decrease in the electric revenue for the year.
And this is bringing water up 104%?
Water would go up 104% is what. Because
And
water
that's
needs to
your-
go up 78% just to get break even.
Right.
No matter what you do, if you want to get to where Scott wanted to be,
Right?
to get to where Scott wanted to be, you'd have to bring water up 78%. No ifs, ands, or buts. Then the rest of the allocation would come just based on what you were choosing to do. Did you choose to do water projects? Well, $250,000 wouldn't be spread over electric and sewer revenues. It would only be spread over the water revenues, trying to make water pay for what water was using. Sorry, Derek, I didn't mean to say that, but this is what Derek was asking me to put together. That's what I want you to understand, what this spreadsheet tried to do. So if you just put the water projects and you raised water rates to cover the water projects, then that would be 18.7% increase on the water rate. You already had a 78% increase from getting it to break even. Now you put the 18% for the water projects. That's kind of what this spreadsheet was designed to do. But you add all those numbers together and you'd get to 104% increase in the water. So yes, your water rate would double if we truly did back to what Scott has requested, all of you guys have kind of requested, but
Clarify what I
This is-
requested. I
this is
wanted
a-
water and sewer to pay for themselves.
to pay for themselves,
Right.
yes. That's to get to Scott's,
We all do.
that's what column one
Right.
did, get you to Scott's request. I keep on calling it Scott's request because he's the one that forever and ever stood here and pounded his hand that, Russ, you haven't given us this. You haven't given, this is what that number would really looks like to accomplish that goal.
Right.
But our current proposal does that too, right?
The current
Not
proposal.
year one.
Yeah, not year
Over-
one.
over a
but
three-year period.
Over the 3-year period, you're going to
Right.
get to, yes.
So this is looking at doing it in 1 year.
The break
Well,
even.
The break
Th-
even.
This gets the break even in 1 year. This does not generate all the revenues that the 3-year plan generates under Nate's proposal. This reestablishes, it re-reconciles what our electric rates were, brings them down, and takes the profit out of electric and puts that extra profit into water and sewer. So we're going to bill it in water and sewer instead of billing it in electric going forward. That way, those utilities break even.
My goal is also to be more transparent about where the expenditures are going. The pay increases, I'd love to pay our employees more, but for years, we've talked about merit increases. And I'd like to have that discussion when we do this increase and make sure that we're getting there.
In the
When you
current-
talk about raising water rates, you can't couple that with salary increases either. That, just to me, that doesn't make sense.
In the,
Agreed.
in the proposal, does it earmark the money for pay increases?
Not specifically, no. I have some appropriations that I think would be good, but that's really not the decision that we're making.
Right.
Right.
That's still
so-
stuff we could decide later or share
Yeah,
with you.
That's correct.
Right.
That would be an
All
amendment
we're
to
trying to
the
get to
budget.
now is enough money.
That would be an
run the city.
amendment to the budget. yes.
Right.
To put enough money in, no allocations of
Right.
those, but enough money in the budget that you could fund.
And the current proposal we're looking at does not automatically increase pay or salary without some kind of a merit proposal.
Correct.
That gets us towards moving on track of getting essentially here, but over a 3-year period.
Yeah. This, I've said this a few times and I can't emphasize it enough, but this has never been about water projects. It's always been about us not keeping up with inflation and not having enough revenue to do the things we need to do as a city. The things that you hired me to do, right? The things that in my interview with the strategic plan, you said, we want to do X, Y, and Z. You know, we want to resurface streets and we want a 5-year infrastructure plan. And I come in and I say, well, $300,000 in capital projects isn't going to do any of those things that you want, right? And no raises for staff, right? And so I look at this and say, well, I can cut where I can cut, and I've done that. I can increase in sales tax, which I proposed, or in utility rates. Those are my options. And so that's my recommendation is, well, let's increase water. You know, we're 1.4 million negative in water and sewer. Let's get those up. Now, I understand why people have hyper-focused on the large capital projects, right? The decommissioning and the old mains, that's a big deal. And that's a piece of this. But if you look at my original presentation, that was a sub-point under not keeping up with inflation, not raising the rates and keeping up with our revenues. And so that's what this is about, you know. So I've allocated, hey, this 900,000, I think it should go towards X, Y, and Z. Now I'm going to have to present that to you and get you on board, and that's not the purpose of this meeting.
Right. Well, and I worry about us referring to the revenue generated from the electric as profit. It's what we've been using to fund the city.
Right.
And to fund the shortfall in sewer and water.
Correct.
And so when we start talking about that profit, we are misleading people.
Right.
It's the money we need a certain amount of money to run the city. And if we take it out of electric, we've got to raise it somewhere else. That there is no magic dollars.
Right.
And so that's what concerns me about doing anything with the electric today.
Well, and it seems like every resident we've talked to has said, don't touch electric. You know, our original proposal decreased electric. And we changed that because every single one of them, with the exception of a small handful, said, why are you even doing that? Don't touch it. You know, and I'm like, okay. So that's That's my thought, the feedback that I feel like I've seen from the
Right.
town halls, my interactions with residents, my interactions with council.
Right. Nat, did you have something?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Well, not
I've
exactly,
actually
but the gist.
proposed Derek's proposal for a number of years, I would say a decade. Lower electric, raise water and sewer. Brought it up every year, correct, Ross? Yes. Brought it up every year. I'll tell you, one city did that that I work for, and that's Winoka. They did do that about 12 years ago. And they never raised electric again because they lowered it, you know, and that became, you know, wait, you lowered this, you know, and what do you mean electric? And I know you go, that's, you know, that's Winoka, but alternative form of government, which is what you used to be for all of time, and a bunch of smart people, you know, Chesapeake people, people who work at Lone Mountain, I mean, all, you know, a bunch of businessmen. I'm not saying it's the wrong way at all. In fact, I've advocated, you know, the only way we can really do things are electric is high, although, you know, we've raised it one time in 5 years. You know, which is different than, you know, many other communities, you know. I mean, you know, we've raised it one time in 5 years. And I think you said 3 times in 12 years?
3 times in 12, yes.
3 times in 12 years. So, you know, yeah, when you look at the comparison, you know, it is, but I think it's just like Randy said, exactly like Randy said. We have put the emphasis on that. It's not a matter of profit, it's a matter of that's how we've chosen to fund the city. You're absolutely correct. I just wanted to bring that up because every year I go back to Winoka and remind them that since they did it, they haven't raised it, you know, by 1%. You know, I myself have been saying that that's, you know, certainly an idea.
And what you're adopting, what's on the agenda to adopt tonight, over a 3-year period is going to get us to the same spot. Water's going to be break even by the time we get to the end of the 3rd year. Sewer's going to be break even by the time we get to the end of the 3rd year. We're going to get this $250,000 for capital outlay. We're going to get the $350,000. So, I mean, we're going to get all of those. What we're foregoing in the proposal tonight is we're foregoing getting to break even until year 2 and year 3. I mean, we won't get in there in year 2. In year 3, we will finally get to a break even spot in our water and our sewer. That's kind of the difference between how all those numbers allocate out and what it looks like. But it is going to take more time to get to see a break-even number for water and sewer doing it.
But it gives us more revenues to do some of the other things that we really need to do,
Yeah.
right? And not just, I'm not talking about raises, I'm talking about all the other capital projects. You know, we presented and we focused on the water ones, but I have well over $1 million in capital projects and fire trucks and all sorts of things that these departments are asking for, right?
Well, in all reality, Nate, I mean, this $950,000 could all be spent on capital outlay in FY25. There are that many things that we're behind on the capital schedule that we've foregone for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, I can go back and you guys always see those lists that I bring every year, you know, with the budget and where I've listed out all the capital projects that are carryovers that we didn't even do. You know, that list was $3.5 million worth of capital items that we need for the city no matter what. So bottom line, the allocation of this $950, if none of it goes to payroll, I promise you can spend that full $950 just on capital needs that we have on a 5-year capital outlay plan that really are past due, but have been spread out over the next 5 years just because we know we're not going to have it in any 1 year to spend.
One more concern I'd like to throw out there, and that's that within about 2 years, we have 2 pennies at least coming up on sales tax. And my opinion, with an increase like this, getting the support of the people to want to adjust that in a way that maybe we broaden it to at least 1 penny to infrastructure and 1 penny to the general fund, unrestricted. I think our ability to do that will be slim with these types of increases.
Well, in doing this increase, you won't be transferring that money from the electric to cover anything. There will be extra money, right? I mean, didn't you say we've been taking money from the electric and to cover the water? That won't be happening if we did an increase.
Now we can fix streets with it.
Well,
and fix
no,
water.
hold on. There's not gonna be any extra money.
With
I didn't
this.
say, I didn't mean extra. I
Right.
meant we won't be doing that transfer, so it will be sitting there, right? cover water.
Water is going to have more revenue.
Right.
Therefore, its loss is going to be less. So the extra profit that is sitting in electric right now that we use to cover water will not be used to cover water. It'll be used
For whatever.
to cover whatever.
I think the thing I like about the proposal that we were originally looking at is it will allow us each year,
Yes.
as water and sewer pays more of their own bill, to look at electric and go, do we need, I don't want to touch electric until I know exactly what it's going to, water and sewer is going to affect for us and what it allows us to do. I think that would be foolhardy. I mean, we've gone 17 years with only paying the interest on our mortgage, and now our mortgage is due. And so I don't want to be sitting here 10 years later watching this TV and seeing another poor council having to struggle with making up that kind of shortfall. I want to get the bill started and I want to get it paid.
I think we have a council now that's a lot more mindful of these dollars and how they're being used and how they're being allocated. We've definitely gotten a lot more involved. And I think moving forward with the plan that's been presented, that's already on the agenda, we're going to be doing that like Randy said. We're going to be, year to year, we can look at where we're at, evaluate, and reassess. We're not going to pass this and say, all right, Nate, department heads, Russ, here's some play money, go with it. That's not what we're saying at all. There's projects and things that we want to see happen, and as a council, we're gonna have to follow through and keep up on that and say, hey, give us an update on this, give us an update on this, and we're providing the direction. We're not being told, hey, vote on this so that we can do what we want. City administration now comes to council and says, hey, I need direction. Where do you want us to go with this? When we hired Nate, part of that interview process was presenting the strategic plan, saying, look, as a city council, this is what we want for Perry. We didn't tell Nate, hey, you're an outsider, come in and tell us what you want for Perry. That wasn't our interview process.
I want to speak one more time, if I could, and then I won't say anything. I don't want it to seem that I necessarily support this plan. I just wanted to point out what Winoka didn't do, okay? I do want to also I talked to one councilman today, and this is the way I think it'll go. Let's say you pass what's on the, on the plate today. I think you're still going to look, and someone on the council is going to ask to tee up year 2 and 3. Okay, and we're going to take another look at that. Whether we're going to raise that or lower that or whatever, that's something that you don't have to do tonight. Okay? I mean, the truth is that we presented you these ordinances, and then you had 2 town hall meetings. And when you brought it back, you took that first year and you cut it in half with respect to residential customers, right? And so, at this meeting, if you choose to, you could also say, we're still listening, and we understand that there will be, could be new people on the council next time, but certainly, if you pass all 3 years, I'm almost guaranteeing that before that next one and the next one comes in, you're going to ask to see that. That's where I've seen it everywhere in all my cities where they pass a schedule. They want to come back and look at it again. And my proof here is that we passed the CPI, and yet, we don't necessarily follow that. We take a look at it, we don't necessarily follow it. So, I mean, if we took a look at the ordinance, had the meetings, cut that in half. That's what we did. And then we added to that, we're not going to do year 2 and 3. We'll wait and see what's available then. You would still provide all the dollars for 2025 that are necessary to do the things that we talked about doing. And you're not, and you're leaving your options open to study it again. The councilman that I spoke to said it may be less, it may be more than you. That's all I'm going to say about it. That it's just something that is certainly giving into the public response that you've had, not only at the town meetings, but you've had in all your personal conversations, and that we've seen online. Just a thought.
Yeah, that did. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was going to ask a question. Is there some sort of, wouldn't there be some sort of an emergency grant that we could apply for somehow and get the money to take care of the water problem that way? I mean, can't we go begging money?
That would be separate from fixing our deficit. What we're wanting to look at as a council is how do we fix the deficit in the water department.
Day-to-day operations.
Right, the day-to-day operations.
And that answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a year ago,
Right.
a year and a half ago, we got $1 million.
Right.
Principal forgiveness dollars for part of a water project. There was another allocation of those dollars. We didn't meet that timetable, but there may be another allocation. There's a new administration, federal administration. We're not sure what they're going to do with some of the things that Biden did, but a lot of those dollars, if available, both in principal forgiveness and other grant programs are available. That's just for capital improvements. That's not for operations. That's not for day-to-day.
But I thought the whole reason why the consideration of upping the bill for us was so high because the repairs that need done.
It's one of the pieces.
Yeah, that's part of it.
And I know that I heard Donald Trump talking about fixing the electric grid and stuff, so there'll probably be some money for that sort of thing. I'm just saying, with a new administration.
I hope, yeah, that'd be
Pretty
something to
sure.
look at down the road. But, with grants, you apply for them, and just because you apply for them doesn't mean you're going to get them.
Right.
And so, something that we need to consider is that, we might not get those. We can't hope that we get them. But we do need to fix with where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get the one in February, right? For February.
Right. Yeah, there's been grants that we've applied for and gone for that we,
Yeah, we
That's for the emergency.
we applied for.
yeah,
We did not get.
right.
But
Council,
the
any
real
other,
White House is in Florida right now.
council, any other insight?
That's all right with me.
It was donated to the federal government by Meriwether Post to
Well,
the Southern
I
White
think-
House. It's being used that way right now.
There's been a lot of research done in what's been presented to us. And I feel comfortable making a motion that we move forward with the utility rate changes as is in the agenda. Now, do we need to go through these individually?
Yes.
Okay.
Where's that?
That's number 8.
Go back to that.
Yep. So with that, I'll make a motion that we consider approval ordinance number 2024-25 of the City of Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 18 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the amendment of Section 17-201 entitled Electric Utility Fees and Billings in General by the amendment of subsection 1.8.1 through 4, increasing the electric rate by 4.62% for all industrial customers, providing for repealer savings, codification, severability, effective date, and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Let's have roll call.
Coffee?
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Davis? Yes.
Kolar.
No.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
And Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 10C, consider approval of the emergency clause for ordinance number 2024-25.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Kolar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 10D, consider approval of ordinance number 2024-23 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 17, Article 2 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the amendment of Section 17-218 entitled Administrative Fee, providing for a $2 increase in the administrative fee applied to every utility bill to recover the cost of utility billing, utility collection, postage, meter reading, and all other ancillary and incidental utility billing and collection service requests. Repealer states codification, severability, effective date, and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Have roll call.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Kolar.
No.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 10E, consider approval of the emergency clause for ordinance number 2024-23.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Kolar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
yes. Item 10F, consider approval of ordinance number 2024-22 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 18 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the amendment of subsection A of Section 17-13 entitled Water Rates, providing for an increase in residential, commercial, and industrial water rates, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, effective date, and declaring an emergency. And this would be, what was 35%, 50%?
Yes.
35 for residential, 50 for commercial,
And 50 for industrial.
and 50 for industrial. And the effective date as well,
January 1st.
January 1st.
Okay,
Items
effective
listed.
date, January 1st, is that when we start charging the rate?
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
And that was F.
And that's F, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion on that?
And this is to say that we're not necessarily voting on what's going to happen exactly next year.
No,
That'll-
Right.
This
Yeah, this is.
is that schedule.
Right here.
or, yeah, this is, it has that schedule in there for
Under I.
year 1, year 2, year 3.
But we will be able to
Yes.
adjust that.
You want
at-
to-
Yes.
if need-
You
at
could
that
adjust
time.
it
Yes.
next council meeting if you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, you can always be put back on the agenda. And that's with any ordinance that we do. I mean, we could pass it and then the next meeting flip-flop and go back and. But we do have a motion and a second on that. Any other discussion? Okay, have roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
No.
Kolar.
No.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 10G, consider approval of the emergency clause for ordinance number 2024-22.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
No.
Kolar.
No.
Go into effect February, well, essentially, it's 30 days after publication, but we have an effective date there. And it'll be the February 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're going to publish it now. That'll be,
Publish it in whole, don't I?
publish it in whole, yes.
So the effective date for these would be February.
February
Yes.
1st.
For this, the other one's passed.
Oh, just for this one?
Yeah, the other one's passed.
Right.
Yeah, the other one's passed.
Just for that one, okay.
Emergencies.
Yes.
10H. Consider approval of ordinance number 2024-21 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 18 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the amendment of Section 17-510 entitled Sanitary Sewer Use Rates, providing for an increase in sanitary sewer use and other related sanitary sewer rates for residential, commercial, and industrial customers, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, effective date, and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second. Any other discussion on that? Let's have a roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe. Yes.
Marshall. Yes.
Davis.
No.
Goldar.
No.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 10I, consider approval of emergency clause for ordinance number 2024-21.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
No.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
No.
Goldar.
No.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes,
Same with that one.
same with that one. So
Yes.
February.
Can I ask a question? It's a brief thing. I heard that it was in the paper that the rates are not going to go up as much as was originally proposed. Is that true?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
So for residential in the first year, it would go up 35%.
Ouch.
The water. Yeah.
Okay. I hope we don't wind up with a lot of smelly people walking around now. It could happen.
The sewer.
Yeah,
All right.
sewers might get backed up because people don't
So
flow.
with that, we're gonna jump back into our order. I'm going with item number 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. With that, our council reports. Ward 1, Laura's not here, but Scott, do you have anything? No? Austin?
No.
Joe?
Nope.
Randy?
No.
Danette?
I just noticed some people posting about the lights on Burr at Ditch Witch were not working this morning. I don't know
Oh,
how
were they
long
off?
they've been out.
Those are not the purple ones, they're just out.
Yep,
Yep, there's 36 out.
Oh,
right now.
I'll text
Roughly.
you.
Right, no, I found,
Roughly, yeah. And then there are the blue or purple also, I believe.
thanks. Were they off the whole night, or they just turn off earlier?
they've been
That's-
off several
think they've
days
been
now.
off.
That's been for a while.
Okay.
But I do think maybe intermittently, because there has, I think, a day where they were back on after I'd seen them off. A night, I should say, when they were off, but I don't know how often that is.
It was
Right.
being out, but I don't get out tonight.
So Nate, you'll send that over to Wheatley.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Danette. Sammy?
So I just had a positive. I wanted to compliment Easy Drill on their Christmas lights. When you're coming in from Stillwater on 86, you can see it really far. It looks really nice and pretty. The second thing is I wanted to get an update on the street department relocation. How's the roof coming? How's the Connex and the building repairs and all that?
Yeah, so it took a longer time than we thought to get the third bid. We did get that last week and we've been working on a contract. They sent me around noon today the finalized contract that we're all okay with. We'll get that signed tomorrow. You guys have given me authority to do that.
That's for the roof or?
That's for the roof, yeah. The windows, they're also working on, that's within my limit, so I'm doing that. But yeah, it's going well. The contract is proposed to begin no later than January 1st and end no later than February 1st.
So they should be moving February, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Sammy? Derek?
We're talking about the lights.
She beat you to it.
Kind of figured since you knew exactly how many were out.
You were prepared.
Oh, no, I stole his thunder.
Sammy
That
helped
wasn't
me.
me. I
Sammy
drove.
helped me with the number of
Since we
lights.
had another complaint, so I drove down and just counted.
Concerns with people walking and
And it
it's
being
not just
foggy.
driving, but the sidewalks and
the other day,
everything else
yeah.
too, so.
So are the purple ones just a different newer bulb, or what?
It's a deterioration issue, so they're on warranty and we'll get them replaced.
So that's the same bulbs, just not working correctly?
Right.
So it's not your telling me that a COVID vaccine or not?
All right. That's everything from council reports. So now we'll have a presentation, quarterly report by the Cherokee Strip Museum.
I've got my laptop. Yeah. Control room.
Computer.
Okay, I'm Maddie Flores. I'm the director of the Cherokee Strip Museum in Rose Hill School here in Perry. I'm going to give our last quarter update. The numbers you see will be starting October 1 until last Friday. So we're not quite over the quarter, but we got most of the numbers for the most part. And we are recipients of a stipend from the city, so we do use that directly to our utility bill. So that is exactly what it is used for. Okay, these were a few of our past events from this quarter. We had we hosted the Salt Fork Blacksmithing Association annual meeting in our blacksmith shop. They're a nonprofit and they do rotating blacksmith apprentices in our blacksmith shop for demonstrations. So we are working on our schedule for the upcoming year and what we're going to work with them in doing for events. Then we had the Christmas tea, and that was part of Christmas Tour of Homes, the annual event. We had about 118 people, which was a really good turnout. It's like year to year we have a great turnout there. So that was really nice. Upcoming this Friday, actually, we have Christmas on the Prairie. It's an open house from 4:30 to 8 p.m. We brought theater to the schoolhouse, Oklahoma State University. We have a student helping with that, and they're helping with some of the lighting. So we have 7 kids, and it's kind of 1910 based, but a little with a modern twist. It's actually really funny. So it's a free event. There's carriage rides, hot drinks. There's going to be music, roaming fiddler, and a few other old traditional instruments, and then a few food trucks too. So it'll be really nice. It is at night, so there's lights, and the schoolhouse will be lit up, and just the whole grounds will have different things going on in different buildings.
Starts at what time?
Yeah.
It starts, so it's at 4:30. The schoolhouse play kind of kicks it off, and it's at 4:30 in the schoolhouse, and then everything else just kind of flow to the event. It's just kind of one of those things. It's an open house, so you just kind of roam and sightsee. And I forgot to mention, there is ornament making inside of the museum that you can take home. It's wood things, and it'll be really fun. And we have more on that. We just merged our calendar with the city of Perry. So look, you can go to the city's website or our website.
Excellent.
Cool.
And then the other upcoming event we have is our annual meeting and program. It's kind of a lot of information there. But this year our program is going to be over Buster Keaton and his ties to Perry and his childhood. So Robert Birch from OETA will be helping with that program. And then we have our meal starting at 5:30 at Pancoast Hall, and that's $25 for your catered meal. And this is also, the meal is membership and invite based. You have to purchase the ticket, but we're kind of doing a little separate. The program is free inside the Heritage Center. So it's 2 events in one kind of thing. So. And then our last quarter kind of statistics over our Rose Hill Schoolhouse is we've had 645 students in 32 classes this quarter, and we're still not quite done. So it's been a great year at the schoolhouse so far.
And Matt, you get students from all over, right? Not just
Yeah,
Berry.
We do. We have a waiting list too. We stay very booked year round,
Wow.
all different areas of Oklahoma. So it's really interesting, amazing program we have out there. That is all I have for this quarter. If there's any questions, happy to answer.
Everything's great out there.
I was gonna say,
Appreciate
yeah.
everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Christmas lights look wonderful. That had to be at work.
I didn't do the work. We did receive a grant from the Malzahn Foundation, and we're gonna have several projects roll out here pretty soon. Just make our grounds look really nice. So we'll get all of that done within the year,
Nice.
this upcoming year.
I always see, buses and vehicles out there. Like, what's your guys' average visitation or like visitors coming in and out?
So our grounds are just kind of publicly used, kind of like a park. I know we miss the numbers
Right.
of how many people actually come out there. Hundreds, for sure. Inside our museum, is with classes and bus drivers and teachers and admissions, several hundred a month. So we stay pretty busy. It is quiet and a little hidden back there, but we are very busy. So
I think I saw somewhere where you guys needed a school marm. Is that still?
we do. I'm so glad you mentioned that. We are hiring right now. We're looking for another school marm.
You interested, Sammy?
No.
Part-time position. So if anybody's interested,
Not be good at
let
that.
me know.
We still do the classes in January and February, or?
So we are closed for 2 weeks during January every year for inventory purposes and just, things we can't do when we have visitors in the building. So we're closed from after Christmas until January 20th. And like I said, a lot of those projects in the Malzahn grant are going to be taking place during that time. Our entrance is getting redone. So that's a big one for us. And a lot of groundskeeping work is being done during that time too. So. Any other questions?
It's pretty cold.
I took out the wood stove, the 51, the big pot belly wood stove.
Yeah.
That's what we had when I went there.
You mentioned the blacksmiths. You plan on having them back work in 25?
Yes, we do. And we are working on the ideas surrounding that. We do want to do something a little more than just blacksmith demonstrations, and we have been doing them quarterly, which we will keep doing, but bring them more into our events too. So, yeah, we have more planned with that. Maybe food trucks and just a little bit more going on during those weekends to just draw a little bit more variation to the events. So that's what we have planned.
Right. So for you guys' event, do you guys usually need volunteers or?
Yes. We
So if someone was interested in volunteering, how do they do that?
They can call me. They can call the museum. Any of our employees can help with that. You just come and we'll get you going. So, yep, just give us a call. Get on our website. All of our contact information. You can go on Facebook, pretty much any social media. Yep. Awesome. And I do have one other thing to add. I didn't know who was doing it. We have somebody always cleans up our trash. People throw a lot in ditches. So in the past, our employees have had to pick that up a lot, but I noticed this year it's just not there anymore. And I saw yesterday the city employees out there working on our ditches and cleaning our grounds, and I really, really appreciate that. So
I'll pass it on. Thanks.
yes, thank you for that. We really appreciate it. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
No.
All right.
I did it when I was a kid.
Hopefully you were.
Item number 6, city manager remarks on current projects and activities.
Yeah, so I have a couple of things. One was going to be the mechanic shop roof update, so that was already talked about. Additionally, we'll talk about the sidewalk project a little bit later, but we've made some good progress on that. Tonight, I'll get some feedback from you council members on kind of some location pieces of where we want to put that sidewalk, because we have a little bit more leeway than I initially thought, which is kind of fun.
So Nate, on the mechanic shop repairing stuff, Sammy asked about the container too that we were gonna try to purchase.
Connex.
Is that
Iconics.
Oh, the Conex box. We looked. I don't know if they have electricity. We were going to look into that because they would need electric on the inside of it. Is kind of where we're at with that. But Critter says that he thinks they can squeeze in and make just the mechanic shop work in the meantime until we get their building built. So he's not too worried about having an additional storage unit, but he won't know until they make the move. So, any other questions on mechanic
No,
shop?
sorry, I'm just curious what.
No, you're fine. Okay, so yeah, I'll give some more updates on sidewalk projects and we'll talk through that. And then the last project I wanted to discuss is the roof purlins at the water treatment plant, which is going very well. They got a later start than they had hoped, but their final date is supposed to be December 20th. So we're planning on holding them to that and see how they fare. They were over 50% done last Thursday. And they said as they get closer to their deadline, they're going to be working through the weekends and things like that. So we'll see what happens there, but it's going very well overall. So. That's all I have until we get to the sidewalk project portion. We'll really take a deep dive there.
Okay. Thank you, Nate. All right, item number 7, Chief Financial Officer report on November 2024 financials.
Should be at your desk. Financials came out and get those to Christie, so she had to hand them out. We did have them there by Friday. So you didn't get them in your packets. There's nothing really too exciting in the financials. We had a couple of on-top things that I usually try to cover that aren't in the numbers. Number one, CPI. CPI rose from about 2.1% to 2.5% for our region. So we were up a little bit, but we're still in the twos. CPI is not something that I worry about near as much anymore as what we did for that long period of time. The second thing is the PA. Our power cost adjustment was again negative this month, which is a nice little piece. Negative less than 0.1%, but it was still a negative number. So as I always like to say, Earl would be happy with the calculation and would say that we are spot on with where we should be. A few over, a few under, and never a big number was what he had always wanted our PCA to be. So looks like right now, based on what OMPA is doing for us and how those rates are coming, we're sitting in good shape. So PCA at a negative, a very slight negative, but negative is a good piece. Sales tax. Sales tax is mentioned last month, or Meredith would have mentioned last month. Collections for November were about $320,000. That is the first $300,000 number that we have had since I've been here. And so that really would be that we've had, because we have the extra penny. We have a couple of things that have driven that total collection up. Now, whenever I say we had $327,000, remember that as we talk about sales tax, only 1 penny of this is really available for the general fund. The rest of it kind of goes over everything else. What it equates to, that 1 penny is about $55,000 of additional revenue this year over what we had budgeted. And what we planned for. So that's a good news for us related to sales tax. Probably the highlight of what I would give you. December's came in, and December is going to be up about 21% over last year. It's a 280 number. So I mean, we're back for $50,000 less than what we were last month. But pretty much the majority of our increase has come because of a couple of big months of sales tax. So overall percentages, sales tax for as far as combined sales and use tax, we're up about 28% this month for December over prior years, and year to date it'll put us at about 19% over where we've been. So
that we talked about at first was just sales tax, or was that a combination of both?
That was just sales tax. Use tax was 19,000 in over. So we've got a 55 and a 19. So we're looking right at $74,000 of additional revenue this year that we have budgeted. So that's a good thing to kind of hold in our pocket. Like we talked, the majority of this increase in sales and use tax by itself, the 19,000 number was driven by, you can tell it's a significant construction-related set codes that are driving that. So it is, the majority of our growth is right now in construction. So as Bryce and I were talking today, we need to make sure construction projects start maybe at the Highway 77 exit for next year, so that maybe we could continue on this high sales tax number. We're going to be completing at least one of the bigger construction projects. Should be completed in the first quarter of the year. So we're going to not have construction sales tax anymore that's driving this, but we do need to get another big project going. The site down there looked nice and clean, and looks like it's ready for some development. So maybe we can get that going and get sales tax again next year going forward.
I have another question about use tax.
Okay.
And how it works again. So Walmart is doing delivery to Perry now, but they use a contractor to deliver to Perry. So do we get the use tax on that, or do we not? Or does this, because the store fills the order in Stillwater, and then a contractor comes and picks up. So does that mean that Stillwater gets the sales tax and we don't?
Okay, so yeah, let me make sure this part's clear. It's going to still, it'll be a sales tax issue either way, because Walmart has a physical presence in the state of Oklahoma. Use tax doesn't come into play because Walmart has a physical presence. Use tax only comes into play whenever you do not have a physical presence in the state that it's operating. So it will be a sales tax piece. So sales tax becomes the piece. Now it comes down to the point of title transfer. So depending on how that, if that contractor is a third-party contractor doing the delivery, then the sale actually sourced as Stillwater. If that was a Walmart employee delivering into the zone, then that would be considered a transfer of ownership inside of Perry, and so the sales from that piece would show up as a Perry sale.
So the Kroger trucks running around, we get use tax from that?
Or is that
Yes,
sales?
Sales tax.
It's a sales.
So it's use tax, it's sales tax.
There is
Okay.
Kroger's physical presence in the state. So, yeah. So that's how you differentiate usually between sales tax and use tax is, do you have a physical presence?
But if you were to order off Walmart online and have it shipped to your house,
That,
Perry
right.
would get that.
We get that sales tax, yes.
It's just the grocery delivery.
It's just that
It's
delivery.
the delivery.
Because they use.
Because they're ringing it up at the store, they're transferring
the
title
contract
to delivery
labor.
at point of
Even though
sale.
that company that does their delivery is.
Sales tax for me.
Well,
So Russ, that just the big operators that, I mean, if I buy that from Derek's craft shop and it gets shipped into me, would he pay or would he charge me Perry sales tax and?
coming from out of state or coming from in-state? Sorry.
Okay, so answer both those questions.
Two issues. And the reason it is two issues is there's a filing threshold on use tax for out-of-state vendors. You have to have $100,000 worth of sales inside the state in order to qualify as a reporting entity. Now, there are other exceptions to that to the extent that and that varies by state, by the way. So, I mean, don't hold, oh, well, it's always this way. You do have limits as far as that goes. We don't have a universal national sales tax requirement for physical presence or those things. So, the state of Oklahoma is not going after somebody that's my seller that effectively, not going to register. Now, if you sold that via eBay, if you sold that via Pinterest, if you sold it via some marketplace, now there is the potential that Derek's would pay a use tax on the delivery of that good. Internally within the state of Oklahoma, yes, if Derek took responsibility for shipping that to your location, that would be paid sales tax to the city.
I've had small business in Stillwater, if they've got like an employee living here, to bring it to me, and they charge me the Perry sales tax. If I go over there and pick it up, it costs me to drive over there and then I have to pay the.
I'm stretching for, or reaching for, if somebody stops me on the street and says, I've got two choices to order groceries, or I've got two, which one helps Perry the most?
Kroger
There's not.
or Homeland.
Well, Homeland, but if you're gonna give it delivered to your house, Kroger would be the better choice.
Right. Yeah, we need the owner of the inventory to be the delivery person to the site. And that creates then the nexus of Perry's Copo as sales tax.
And that goes through the Oklahoma Tax Commission. They determine that and did that out or distribute that.
Well, the vendors report it.
Right, they report it.
Based on
Right.
point of sell, or point of delivery. We can't even call it sell, but point of
Right.
delivery. If you've ever filed a sales report, every county has a code and something ending in an 80, and every city then has, a different number, for that same county with a city 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 number goes along with it. And the vendor who sells it to you is responsible for reporting those numbers to the Oklahoma Tax Commission correctly. They remit it to us.
I don't want to drag this up too much, I've got one more question. So basically here at Christmas time,
Yes.
any national vendors that we would order something from and have it delivered to our house, that would benefit Perry.
Yes.
But more so than if I even just drove to Oklahoma City to Target.
Oh, yes.
At that point, they get the entire.
Yes. If you drove to Oklahoma City, what I like to, I don't usually have this conversation with you all, ours are other topics, but for a lot of our communities, if you can't shop here, ship here is my rule. If they don't have it in town where you can pick it up at one of the local vendors, because I always encourage that first. If they won't do that, then go online and have it shipped here before you get in the car and drive someplace and pay sales tax in Oklahoma City, and we'll never see a dime of that piece. So
What about TikTok? Ordering off there?
back to what I was saying with Pinterest and eBay, depends on who the marketer is and if they are remitting the sales tax and the trade. So that one's a little more complicated. If you're using Amazon, if you're using, it's under the Wayfair case. So I always say if you're using Amazon, if you're using Wayfair, if you're using Target or Walmart or Best Buy or whatever those are, we're actually going to get, if you will ship it, we will get the money of sales tax here instead of in Oklahoma City or Stillwater, Tulsa, or even whatever your other choice is. But if you can't shop here, ship here. And that needs to be what we push all of our residents to do. It'll maximize our dollars of sales tax long term.
So if you're looking for a business idea, signs that say, if you can't shop here, ship here, would be a good option to
There
sell.
you go. I say it 10 times a month. So
That's our new city motto.
Thank you.
I see on page 2 here, or about halfway there above the fold, the motel is 21, so that's still pretty good.
still good. Yes.
Down a little bit from what we've been seeing, but is that,
Actually,
Are these
over the
realistic?
historical numbers, we're up because we had been running 18 and 19,000.
Right.
So we had a couple of months with missed payments and payments and everything else. But
is it?
I think the last couple of months, we had people catching up, and that made that number.
it made it look a whole lot bigger than it should have.
But this one's,
This was a full
Actual.
collection month.
Okay.
Yes.
thank you.
One home knowledge.
Do you have anything else for us, Russ? Any questions for Russ? We drilled him pretty good.
Felt like I had a test today.
Yeah.
Gee, Nat, next time, catch me before the meeting.
Sorry. Just hit me.
All right.
Time to do that.
So now we'll go to item
I
number
was trying to
8.
make the meeting short. I've been maybe talking.
Consider approval of ordinance number 2024-28 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 17 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the amendment of Section 17-216 entitled Average Billing Program, making certain amendments to the program providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, and declaring an emergency. And so this is easing up on some of those requirements to get on
So I had a question as to why is there a time frame? Why do we have a time frame for people to ask to do out or apply for average billing?
Yeah, the reason why is because average billing works in a basis of credits and debits, right? And so you still pay the actual amount of your bill, but they look at your bill and say, okay, well, if the average is X, then we're going to charge you X for this number of months. And what we found over the years talking with Autumn is that customers need time to build up a credit in the account during those colder months when their bill isn't so high. And if we don't do that, what happens is they fall behind.
It just doesn't seem like we're helping them by limiting them the time frame to do that, to me.
Well, you have to have a history of
Oh,
what.
I understand that, but there's also a history of the house.
In all
But we've
reality,
expanded
in the
the-
long run, what it does is it gives that average for the credit and a debit. If something was to happen and that bill gets, let's say they have to move unknowingly, you have to pay that balance due. And if they haven't had any time to build up any credit towards those higher months, they're gonna wind up doing like a lady who almost had to get off of it. She had over $1,000 the wrong way in debit and credit. So, because when you're doing it, you're still there, your bill's still there. You're still getting charged the same amount. But in the winter months, most people's bills are a lot lower. And so it builds up a credit. You've got more money on your account. When it comes to the hotter months, your payment's lower than what it normally would be, than what your bill is actually is. So it's eating away that credit. So it makes it keep it at a more balanced level, so someone doesn't have to close out their account and pay this $500 to $1,000 bill when it just gives them a more even, starting on an even keel.
I know, but what I'm saying is like, I mean, I've lived here for 18 years. I've never done the average billing, so I mean, I don't understand it obviously. But, so say I wasn't able to do average billing, but I can only in October through December. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh.
I should be able to walk in and do average billing if I want to. I've been here for 18 years, you know? So that's what I don't
Oh, no, I see what you're
understand.
saying. If you
Why
have,
is there
if
a
you have
time
enough
frame?
history,
Yeah.
it shouldn't matter when you sign up, is what you're
Right,
saying.
that's what I'm asking. Why is there
Okay.
a time frame?
Now I get your question.
Sorry.
Gotcha,
Yeah, no, you're-
gotcha. I see what
But
you're
what they
saying.
were saying about the credit, I mean, you
Still
gotta
need to-
build up that,
So it's the actual buildup of the dollars that you can't
Right.
get by history.
Yeah, because so Sammy, say you enrolled at the very beginning of summer. What would happen is your account would show a debit, right? And then you moved 5 months later. You would then owe the city $500, $700, $800, you know, up to whatever your actual bill was.
Right.
And so doing it during those colder months gives people the opportunity to build a credit so that if they move, then they're able to not have to pay out a larger amount of money.
I think
I mean, no,
another
I was
way
just
to
asking them to
answer
sign
your
up here.
question would be, is if we did if you signed something, we could pull your credit history, okay? And your credit history was 700, let's just say. Well, your credit history was real good. Then it wouldn't matter when you signed up, because we would make sure that we would get our money. So perhaps you could add that feature to this, based on credit history.
But one of the other problems though, Bryce, is we're extending credit to citizens. And we're trying to prevent from extending credit to people. You know, the credit extension comes whenever your bill is $1,000 in, just using numbers, but is $1,000 in August, but your average is only $650. So now we're carrying $350 for you during this period. By doing it during October, November, and December as the starting months, your average is going to be $650, but your actual bill is going to be $575. So effectively, you're prepaying for
those
4 or
expenses.
5
Yeah,
months.
for those expensive
So that
months.
whenever it does get to the big months, we're not carrying, the city is not carrying your
Right,
bill.
right.
You have prepaid effectively to
Right.
get, on an average number, to get that bill down. That's what we're trying to avoid in this, is carrying, you know, and now you turn around and you put, if you put, you know, 200 customers on this average bill and we're carrying $1,000 for each one of them, I've got a $200,000 shortfall in my cash flow for the month of August and maybe the month of September. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm trying to prevent, I'm keeping my cash flow where it's the other way. I've already got the money in hand and now I'm going to be taking it out.
So that's the finance perspective, right?
That's the back end numbers of what's going on. It has nothing to do with functionality of when you should be able to do it or how you should do it, other than I need it for cash flow and I don't need to be carrying a huge AR in June and July and August.
Right.
But there is a customer service piece there too, because if they start, they need to build that credit, because if they move, which happens, we've had people do that.
Right.
They're like, I owe the city $1,000, you know, it's like,
And I've been paying my bill each month. How's
right,
that?
right, and that's frustrating for people.
Right.
And so in order to avoid that, we say, okay, the enrollment months are those colder months or leading into the colder months, so you can start building a credit with
Right.
your account.
When I read this, when I thought back to the town hall meetings, the ask was, make it easier for me to get on there.
Which we expanded to.
And we did.
Right.
In my mind, this may not be perfect, but it does what the people ask us to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Make
we
it easier to
expanded
get
the
on
2
there.
months. We
Make
made
the number of
enrollment
months you're
every
gonna
9
make
months.
sure I'm solvent shorter. I was very proud of this, the fact that we listened and we're doing something to make it easier.
Right.
Well, and then the other thing is, you know, stuff happens, and I get it, you have to have some kind of stipulations, but I don't think that in 9 months, if I'm late once, I shouldn't be able to get on it. I don't think that shouldn't be right. To me, we're trying to help people pay their bill, and if they're just late once or twice, then that's something, but if I was late in January, I gotta wait 9 more months before I can get on it, because
That was a
past the
similar
date,
question that I
so-
had asked me about that.
Like, yeah.
Autumn does have the ability to
So
give
certain
leeway
people
there.
you can.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, she can give leeway there,
with
and there's some implications to that would probably be better to talk about
Mhm.
individually, because there's some ways to maybe bypass the program that I don't really want to advertise publicly. But this that guide rail is there to help with that,
Right.
and I'd be happy to talk to you.
Ms. Ives, did you have a question?
Well, you answered part of it, because whenever you call up the city and you're asking questions because this and this and that, and you've got it on your bill that you still owe so much money, and nobody tells you what that means, and they can't tell you what that means. They do almost what's been happening here. Well, this, and they don't answer the question completely. Now, if you understand how the average bill plan works, and they would tell you correctly, then you might not you would understand it a lot better and everything.
Mhm.
They took it off of my bill because I complained about it. I says, I don't owe you that much money. I pay my bill every month, exactly what you asked for. They still couldn't tell me what you just talked about, where it comes from and why you owe and so forth.
Right.
There's a lot of
But after that one time,
Right.
then, pardon my French, I almost threatened them about calling my own attorney and getting this taken care of, because they couldn't tell me about it. But they had it. I would have been,
Mhm.
but they took it off my bill the next time, and I didn't see it.
Right. But this discussion helped kind of clear that up a little.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
that's
sorry,
good.
that's the reason
good.
why I'm still
No.
sitting here.
No, you're fine. You're
I'm
fine.
learning things,
Yeah.
and yet, you forgive me one thing, though. Before, 35% you're going up on our water bill? Why isn't that put before the people? We vote on it.
It's not required.
Yeah,
It's
with
not
utility
required.
rates, yeah.
Not only is it not required, it's really you.
We, the people, are the ones who pay your wages.
Yeah, but we, the people, voted these
Uh-huh.
electeds in to make those decisions. Just like with any political position, you vote and then the people don't make decisions on every single aspect, every single policy change. They trust the people they voted in to make changes that represent them.
Well, forgive me, because some of these changes aren't very good at all. Just like I told you before, 45 years we dealt with problems, and we're paying for it on our utility bill. It's this drainage. And yet, there's other things that pop up on my utility bill that I'm going, why are we doing that? We've had that person waiting on us every day, for years. Why can't they do it now without us paying $5.50 for them to do it? Why do I have to pay $5 extra for this? Because, why? I don't like picking up my utility bill and seeing something on there that wasn't on there last month. And we didn't have any knowledge that it was going to be. Good heavens, my trash alone, trash hauling, I mean, it's up to over $22. Why that much? It wasn't that much 10 years ago. And you went up that much in the last 10 years? And we weren't even notified about it? I don't like not being notified about things. Forgive me if you say, well, it was in the newspaper. I'm sorry, I don't make enough money to have the newspaper come to my house. I do go to the library and try to read up on things. That's the reason I'm here now. But there's a lot of things that I say the city's not doing properly. And that's for the public not to know about things.
And thank you for your insight. I mean, your input. We appreciate that.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Everyone did note that there's a provision in this ordinance that allows the manager to make adjustments in the implementation of policy in the best interest of fairness and responsible utility practices.
Right.
So
Right.
that's in there, so we can make some of those changes.
Right, and that gives Nate freedom to do that. Yeah, does anybody have any other questions on this?
I move that we adopted.
Okay. Motion?
Second.
And second, any other discussion? All right, let's have roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Yes.
Goldar. Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 9, consider approval of the emergency clause for ordinance number 2024-28.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and second.
And, Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
Let's do 10 again.
You want to do 10 again?
I was going to say, I'll be glad that
No, so we're going to skip down to item number 11. Consider approval of ordinance number 2024-29 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 10, Article 3 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the amendment of subsection D1 to section 10-302 entitled Trespass on Public Property, and the addition of a new section 10-303A entitled Criminal Trespass, providing for an amendment to section 1-111 subsection 3C, listing the punishment for criminal trespass, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, penalty, and declaring an emergency.
Bryce, can you take this one?
Yeah, this ordinance actually does two things. One is currently trespass on public property is only pursuant to a posted sign. You got a sign up that says you can't come to the park between the hours of 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. You could cite someone for that. This ordinance makes it a little bit broader. If you're in a public building, public place or area, and you're committing a breach of the peace, you're engaged in disruptive behavior, you're committing disorderly conduct, or any other criminal offense or pose a safety risk to any person, including the perpetrator himself, that is public trespass. So it's broadening public trespass. You know, sometimes sometimes you may not have a sign posted, okay, and yet the person ought to be removed from that area, at least cited for that. The second one, we currently do, but I found that we didn't have an ordinance in our code. There is a state law on it. But that is, let's say you go into Dollar General and you shoplift, or you make a scene, and Dollar General doesn't want you anymore, or the mayor's hotel, or anywhere. They're going, I don't want that person anymore. Well, we go out, the police go out, and they notify that person, and they tell him, don't go to Dollar General anymore, don't go to that place anymore, because they don't want you there, okay? And then if you show up there, okay, that is a violation of section 10-303A, criminal trespass. And we do that all the time. You don't have to go back there and steal things or be disruptive or do anything. If you've been informed by the police and that's been logged, then when that person shows back up, they can call the police. Now, of course, the police can, once again, you've been told you need to get out, but the other thing they can do is cite it. That is in fact the state law, okay? And what I took the state law and made it a municipal ordinance so that we could charge, instead of filing it up at the district court, we could file it in municipal court. So this is a procedure. I'd say that we have this procedure for a number of people and a number of our businesses. I'm not correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
A lot of it deals with First Amendment auditors as well.
About what?
Your First Amendment auditors.
Yeah.
That come in to a public place.
Yeah, that really is the part about trespass on public property. You have First Amendment auditors that just go into locked rooms. They go through your desk, and they got YouTube channels and the like. And we're trying to provide something here that I mean, we're not wanting to arrest people or do that, but if it gets outrageous, we're wanting to take some action. So that's really the purpose of this ordinance. Then, of course, there's a private trespass, but we're not amending that ordinance. We're also making the ordinance consistent with that of state law. And as you know, our ordinances can't be any higher than the same offense. If there's that offense in state law, it can't be any higher. So.
You said they can't go into locked rooms.
Not into locked rooms. No, not into locked rooms, but into rooms with doors shut. They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all it
That
has.
says do not go beyond this point.
Yeah, unless there's a sign. Now, if you don't have the right words on the sign, but if they are causing a disruption, breaching the peace, I mean, I think we've seen some cases where it just becomes so utterly outrageous, and I'm kind of wanting to make sure that that kind of conduct doesn't occur here. Of course, the police are going to have to be schooled in this, and they're going to have to, show discretion. But for instance, even here in a public meeting, if someone got, just completely, well, we don't have a sign outside, so, how actually do
So
you?
this hasn't happened recently, like none of this has.
Not in our town.
Okay.
No, not our community. But in other communities in Oklahoma, this is being routinely happening.
Really?
Yeah.
When I went through the one-day city council training, whatever, they showed some YouTube videos of a guy that's doing that across the country, but he attacked, I think Salisaw was the, came into the meeting, accused some council members of some criminal activity with no yelling during the meeting, and it was very disturbing to watch.
You guys do training on that, Brian?
Yes, that's been the topic last 2 years in all conferences and everything is the auditors. So I think every Oklahoma department's dealt with them. And it was a learning curve because whenever somebody walks in and just sticks a phone in your face, if the ladies are out here working, they come in the lobby, they just sit there at the window and film you, they can. But it's aggravating as a citizen, but you gotta learn, you're violating the rights. That's what they want you to do, is do something where they get a lawsuit. So yes, we're very trained in that area as far as the auditors.
I move we adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Let's have roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Caldine.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 12 would be consider approval of emergency clause ordinance number 2024-29.
So moved.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Caldine.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 13, consideration and possible action concerning an agreement between the City of Perry, Oklahoma and the State of Oklahoma Department of Transportation for project maintenance, financing, and right-of-way agreement for the TAPS grant for the sidewalk project on 7th Street from Delaware to Ivanhoe and 1st Street and US 64 from 7th Street to west side of North 8th Street. Taps 8626-004 TP, state job number 38626-0405-607. Appropriate and commit $96,050 in local matching funds for the project. This is your sidewalk thing you want to talk about?
Yeah, so let's take a deep dive here. We have an engineering firm for the project. We interviewed 3 and through a scaling system that ODOT provides, chose the one that was rated the best for all 4 panelists. And so Critter and I went out and walked the site with them and with ODOT 2 weeks ago, and went through and kind of looked at some of the challenges. And during that walkthrough, they kind of made me realize that we have a lot more leeway in how this is done than I originally thought. And so they kept asking questions, and I said, well, I think this, but let me go to the council to get some feedback, because there's some areas here that I don't have the history on in terms of problems or why people dislike it or what they'd maybe like to see. And so that's what I wanted to do tonight. So control room, if you'll pull up my screen here, I'll kind of show what this looks like. All right, so here is the beginning of the first project. So right here is First Bank and Trust. This is heading north. And this corner has already been done. It's ADA compliant. And then you can see the sidewalk going up to the bank, and then actually to, I think it's about right here, is, I don't know if it's new, but it's in really good condition to my eye. As I walked on it, I didn't see a whole lot of lips, cracks.
Just in front of the bank, basically.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Have you guys, as a council and the community, heard any complaints about this section right here?
In front of the bank?
I can't, they can't see it.
Yes.
I think
So right in front of the bank.
the start I've heard about is about Wilda's like.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause
just
it's-
past the bank.
In front of the bank, it's still just one curb step up, correct?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like Wilda's, the
Yeah, over by
doctor office,
Wilda's begins the
they're
two.
And
pretty.
the doctor,
I don't know
the
what
doctor's
that-
office.
Yeah.
Do we know how tall that curb is there in front of the bank?
They measured it's fairly tall for a curb.
Okay.
I'm going on memory. I want to say it was 9 inches, but I don't know that for sure.
So still might not be correct.
Yeah, so they looked at it and they said, hey, we'd like to make some adjustments here, but they don't have a whole lot of great solutions for something like that. Because really all you can do is a 2-step. And I'm like, I would almost rather have a higher curb and just 1 step, and not spend money on that, and maybe spend money elsewhere on this project, versus tearing up something that's already in pretty good condition.
Right.
And maybe making it something that is new, but not kind of what we want it to look like.
Yeah, because I'm with Derek, where I hear the most people complaining, or even have seen people stumble, is more there where that odd 2-step
Yeah.
curb is in front of the eye doctor and,
And
The other
clinic.
doctors, yeah.
Okay.
you know.
Any other discussion on that? I think what we'll do is I'll kind of bring this to them, and then they'll send renderings and say, hey, this is what we're thinking, or this is option A, this is option B, what do you like better? And we'll talk as a council, we may present this to some of the business owners to say, hey, what are your thoughts here? And get, a myriad of feedback about the project before the implementation.
And that project would go all the way to Ivanhoe?
Yes. Yeah, and if we save money, because the project actually includes this. And so if we save money on things like this, then we may be able to take it further.
When you say this.
Yeah, what is this?
Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see my mouse. If we save money from in front of the bank, right?
Okay,
Because we're not
okay.
tearing that up, and that's actually part of the project scope, is to tear that out and do something with it.
Oh.
So adjusting that scope a little bit.
So when we're walking further north, what was their suggestion there with the sidewalk is uneven?
With iCare. Yeah, they want to do rails. They talked about doing rails. They talked about doing a 2-step, but making the 1-step, landscape based. And so it's not really, you can't just step anywhere on that 1 step. They talked about ADA ramps, which would go, let's see, north and south up that. So, I mean, in some ways, their hands are tied because they have to make it ADA compliant. So they can't just make it the most aesthetically pleasing,
Right.
but
Right.
It's okay.
that's what they talked about in front of it.
Did they talk to the offices right there, or did they just walk?
They just walked it.
They just walked it.
I think they're counting on us to do more of that. But the negotiation actually hasn't been done yet in terms of what they'll do on their final contract, I guess you could say.
When you were talking about making ADA compliant, would that be on the end of the block?
Yeah, it's on
Not in the
ends
middle?
and it's also on the grade. The grade has to be, I think, under a 2% steepness. And those are the only two things.
Would we wouldn't be losing any parking spots?
No, not on this one.
Okay.
The only other thing of consideration, and I know you probably got some more things up further north, but I don't know what lighting is there, and if businesses are open in the evening, if we can account for that too in what they're coming up, so that if we have a double step, somebody's not tripping over that second step
I
or
like that.
something.
Incorporate lighting in the sidewalk or.
Possible. I mean,
Yeah, I like that.
I'm not coming up with the solution,
Right,
but
that's-
just
Right.
something to look at
Right.
if it's.
Awesome.
So making that ADA compliant, there aren't any handicap spots along there, right?
I think there might be one
Over
over
the
the
bank,
end.
the bank
Only the
does.
bank is on
yeah.
the
Bank
Only at the bank
Bank
end,
does,
yeah.
yeah. Does the
Oh, is
old
there one
O'Reilly
at
building?
the hardware store or the old
Right.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly's?
I think they did they?
I don't know, I don't remember one, but doesn't mean it's not
I
there.
never entered
Well,
from
there
the
could be a
front, I
driveway
went
there.
around to the
Yeah.
side.
I don't recall there being, but I can't.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's some good feedback there. So as we move further north, it's pretty basic in terms of they'll just replace the sidewalk that's there in front of those businesses. A little bit further north, they'll hit Elm Street and they'll do an ADA ramp on Elm. And then on the other side of Elm, on the north side of Elm, they'll do an ADA going up as well. In fact, they talked about this, and feedback here would be good too. On Elm, going into 7th, they talked about, Critter said that people have complained about not being able to see while turning because of all the people parking. And so they talked about doing something that would extend out into 7th Street where people can stop later, further west, or sorry, further east, into the intersection.
Yeah, because right now you stop there and then you just kind of
and you can kind
Yeah,
of
creep it forward,
Yeah.
trying to look
Yeah.
around the car.
Right at the edge.
Yeah, so they talked about doing something, and I don't remember, it has a name, but I don't remember what name he used for it. So I can bring that back in the rendering and see what thoughts you have there. So going past Homeland, it's pretty basic, just replacing that sidewalk. And then when you hit the
Is that
intersection,
sidewalk bad? Right there in front of the church?
I know when you turn into Homeland.
it's,
bad.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
old and
Homeland's
it's
too
too,
bad,
it's
yeah.
too
Narrow.
narrow. Yeah, they want
Right
to go
there
out
at the
another
church.
foot. Yep, they want to go out another foot and make it 4 foot. It's 3 something right now, 3 and a little bit.
I don't remember about the one in front of the
So
church.
the
if that
new
was bad.
sidewalk would be
Homeland's
4
is
foot
bad.
wide.
Yeah, I know Homeland's
Yeah.
is bad. I didn't know about, I thought the one in front of the church was. pretty
Depending
bad.
on the area, because some sidewalks are
I think
more extended, like the one in front of the bank.
church
things
is
like that.
okay, it's
Yeah, the
just
Baptist
narrow.
church, yeah, I think it is okay.
Yeah, so this one here, this intersection will be kind of interesting. They're gonna have to move some drainage and things like that right on the corner of 7th and Fur. But they'll make it ADA compliant, and other than moving the drainage, there's not gonna be a whole lot of visible changes
I
to
thought
it besides the
those-
sidewalk.
Didn't those just get updated?
They're not
Mm,
ADA compliant. I
No,
don't think.
this is a curb, you just step off of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
on both sides,
The
on both
sidewalk at
sides
that
here.
corner is completely underground. I parked the other night and there's
Distractible.
dirt covering the sidewalk at the corner of Homeland.
Yeah, so they actually talked about that and what they could do to make that better as well. They talked about how over the years this lot's been sanded when it was slippery, and when it drains from rainstorms, it all just goes onto the sidewalk here. So they talked about a couple of solutions that they'll present there to make that not happen.
Well, the part at the alley there, right before you go further north, the part at that alley, will that'll all be handicap accessible and everything too there?
I'm not sure what part you're talking about. So the alleyway I know, but
Where they cross from Homeland to
oh
to
yes,
the
yeah,
church.
Yeah,
right,
if you were gonna try to enter the
all the
sidewalk
intersections will be
alley.
ADA.
Yeah, okay. Because there's an elevation change right there, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so heading further north, this is all pretty basic in front of the Baptist church. They'll just replace there. Same thing here in front of the lot. every intersection will be that ADA. So this right now, currently on Grove Street, is not ADA, I don't think, and they'll make that ADA with the ramps. And then they'll head past St. Mark's Church, still just replacing this sidewalk.
And we're still just doing the west side of the street, right? Only?
Correct, yeah, correct.
So they're gonna try and use the existing sidewalk as it goes, because I mean,
Yeah.
down some streets, there's some sidewalks that are like, you know,
I
offset.
know.
Yeah, so particularly on 7th, they'll try to do that, and then we'll talk on Locust because that's when this gets really,
Yeah.
really kind of complex. This is the more simple of the two. We spent a lot more time on Locust. So, yeah, all of this will just be existing replacements and ADA compliant at the intersections. Yep. And then when you get to Locust, which is here, they'll extend. They'll keep going, which is actually part of the other project, but they'll keep going here down to the church. And that was talked about. Wheatley, Vernon, and I looked at that today, and we could use the existing sidewalk. There's one right here, and then it goes along the fence. Or we could maybe talk about maybe moving it out because there's a lot of space in between there, the street and the sidewalk. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Do we want to give 201 a little bit more yard before he hits the sidewalk, or do we want to keep the sidewalk kind of where it's at? Any thoughts there?
So you would, if you decided to move the sidewalk, you wouldn't leave the old?
We would.
Correct, yeah,
we'd remove that.
Okay, so they wouldn't have to worry about edging two sidewalks or?
Right.
That would look really bad. It's a good question, though. Yeah. We'd have to remove the old.
Yeah, I think that's
So-
good to ask
so
the
I'm-
homeowner
I'm-
about. Ideally, I would think as long as it, I would prefer it to be straight, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
people
yeah.
aren't cutting back and forth and leaving.
Then you're gonna hate Locust when we talk in a minute.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, everything's relative. But help me understand, I thought we were going to Ivanhoe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good question.
But-
So
but
we
how do we
actually
get all the way to
wouldn't,
Locust?
these two blocks between Caw and Locust and then Ivanhoe or Jackson and Caw wouldn't be done unless we extend the scope based on savings elsewhere in the project.
Okay.
That's correct.
So that's where the bank kind of comes
Yeah,
back.
my thought is, hey, we're gonna save, in front of the bank, and then I'll talk about a piece on Locust. If we can save there, then I'm
On
hoping
either
we
one
can.
of those projects.
But the Locust
I thought we were
project does
doing
go north
the
also on
Church
7th.
Street. and-
To the church.
To the church.
To the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, two different projects though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so really it's just those two
Church.
blocks that aren't technically supposed to be done at this point.
From 15th all the way down.
That's exciting.
Okay, so the feeling is instead of moving it in, keep it where it's at on the Locust or on the 7th Street.
I mean, what was their recommendation? I don't really know much.
They want to do what's easiest, which is keep it where it's at.
Oh,
Would we have more cost savings and be able to do
Further?
further?
Kept it to the.
I don't, I'd have to ask. It's a good question. Because
Okay,
it seems like
so-
they're gonna have to do similar things, but it's like they know what's under it. So it is easier.
to,
They don't have to rip out the old.
You're right.
and at the intersection, that'd probably be fine because you just jog over, but at the halfway of that block, it looks like the sidewalk stops.
It's right next to the fence. You can't really see it because it's
So it's in line with that one, it's just real close to that second house.
it keeps going, but then it does stop after that next house. It stops at that alleyway. And so here we would have to, and you can't keep going straight. You have to move because
Yeah.
otherwise you're going through this house.
Right.
Yeah.
Would that be potentially more dangerous if someone's crossing the street and they're further set in the street and someone's coming around? Like they wouldn't see them?
Yeah, I mean the closer you get to the road, the more dangerous.
Mhm.
So that's definitely a.
Or no, I mean
negative.
if the site is set further back.
I think what I'm thinking is like I don't know which streets they are, but the one that's right close to the fence line, and we have it there, and we have a road, and we have, this one is
Right,
here.
right,
Like
yeah.
that, and it's offset. When you do the crosswalk, do you do your crosswalk diagonally?
Yeah.
Yeah, you paint it.
Yeah, you do it
Diagonally.
diagonally, which is a little bit odd. But a lot of these, I'm not sure all of these even have crosswalks.
I don't think.
I don't think so.
I think as you get closer to the school, but I'm not sure.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
So. Okay, well, it sounds like maybe I'll ask their opinion and maybe get two options on that.
Or at least find out
Makes
the
most
cost,
sense.
find out the
What's
cost
less
savings.
costly.
Also, you're putting it, if you move it out to the street side, you'll put it right over the water lines as well.
Yeah, so we'd have to do it in such a way that we're not covering the water lines. Which here we have some flexibility. It's a wide swath, but on some of these on Locust it gets pretty tight, which we'll talk about right now.
It would be nice to find the cost savings because we're 2 blocks away from getting for all of Locust and
Connected.
all that connected.
Connected, yeah.
Oh, so let's talk Locust for a minute. You can see so we can actually do either side. And this is where, when they brought that up, I'm like, wait, what? I thought, because we'd always talked about the north side. Now, as I looked at the south side, my gut tells me that the north is the way to go. And we'll talk about why as we go down that. But,
Does that line up there with the crosswalk at the school?
No.
Yes.
It
Yes.
actually doesn't.
Crosswalk.
The school, the
It's
crosswalk
on the
is
south.
set further south.
It's on the south because they all stand on that corner
Right.
every day with their
Yeah,
kids
but
waiting
instead of
for them to
crossing
cross 'cause I have
Locust-
to wait for them.
Instead of crossing Locust to get onto the sidewalk, they could just be on the sidewalk
Correct, yeah, so that's the advantage.
for the lower elementary,
Yep, that's the advantage.
which is a little.
So we'll look at that here in a second. But right now, both of these sides on Locust have existing sidewalk that's in very bad condition. It's set really far in. Go ahead, continue. It's set really far into the property owners, the property of the property owners. It's set really far in on both sides. The north side continues a lot further than the south side. The south side goes for just one.
Thank you, control room.
Oh yeah, that's nice. So the south side just goes to here and then it ends. The north side, you can see it continues, although it has some pieces that aren't there, but ultimately it continues a lot further. And then there's some pieces down here as we get right next to the school or closer to the school that have sidewalk on the north side too.
Alright.
While we're on the subject of the school, I guess we can just talk about it real quick. So what they're thinking on the school, the engineer's recommendation was to do, so right now this is a sidewalk, this is a sidewalk. They're talking about doing a sidewalk here to connect the two, and then moving this crosswalk further south between those and putting it across. And I can't remember why they wanted to do that versus just doing it.
I don't know if they would want to do it the school, I don't know if the school would want to do it that far south because the buses are in that, they come in through that part.
They're turning
It would
there,
make it
yeah.
harder to see the kids crossing the street being that close to the buses.
Okay, that's good to know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and we'll ask them and talk to them about all this too, but it's a good thought to write down.
And there aren't any kids coming up that from the south, really, right?
Well, there's a
that.
lot of kids that walk to school.
No, I meant from the
Coming out
school
of the-
property,
From the school
from the
property,
south to that crosswalk, they're all
No, because
coming.
most
No,
of the
no, yeah,
junior
they
high
come from the
kids will
front,
go
yeah.
through the parking lot
Yeah.
Yeah.
or they'll cross at the junior high.
So, okay, we'll talk to them about that. But so this sidewalk's good, this sidewalk's good. This sidewalk is actually in really good condition as well. And they talked about turning that one up, and I was like, why would we turn
And
that
Nate,
one
we're
up?
looking at Locust now,
Yeah,
right
Well,
there.
15th and
15th.
Locust.
15 Locust.
And that sidewalk is on the north side of
Right.
Locust. Okay.
Yes.
Where it's
No, south side.
No,
This
south.
you're talking this
Like
one.
the one that's already there.
This one's south side of Locust.
Yeah. How about on 15th Street, that little
By the
section?
Right.
crosswalk, yes.
Yeah, so south side of Locust here, but it's in good condition. And then there's no sidewalk on the south side at all. Not even here until you get all the way down to 7th. That half block.
So
on
did the
7th.
developer build sidewalk in front of those 3 houses or 4 houses, whatever that is?
Must have.
Yeah, I don't know who did that. But then the other side, this north side, is actually in really good condition too. And they talked about tearing that one out, and I don't like that idea either. I would recommend leaving it alone so that we can spend that one elsewhere.
Is it the right width?
I would have to look, but it didn't seem narrow when I was on it. It didn't seem narrow when I was on it. So, I guess picking up from here, there's some concern about these apartments. They have parking all right here. And so they're like, oh, what do we do there? This was actually one of the most complex pieces for the engineers. They were like really intrigued at this. Vernon Wheatley and I talked about two options. One, you could keep the sidewalk, keep the sidewalk kind of lined up with where it's at, and it would just go through the parking. The vehicles, most vehicles are far enough that it would just be kind of the tail end, so people could still go along it unless they had a longer truck.
It's dangerous.
It's still dangerous.
I don't know
It
if
is,
kids
yeah.
walking.
It is.
Back up over
So the other option
Walk the
is
street.
to put really far in, because we have water line and electric lines right here. So putting it really far in and go here, but then you're hitting trees and driveways, so you'd really have to kind of cut and then go back this way. So it'd be a little bit wonky.
Yeah, and you
Looking,
couldn't
but-
move the parking lot closer because of
The building.
the
the
water
water
line.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, that might be an option. I think the ultimate, the issue is we don't.
We have kids walking behind cars if you move the
Right.
parking lot in.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Right.
Well, could we-
I think that's what you're trying to do.
Can you eliminate the parking
Walking behind cars.
Altogether,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a possibility.
I
We'd
mean,
have to
there's
talk to
parking on
Hillcrest.
Yeah.
on the west side of that building?
Yeah, we'll have to talk to Hillcrest. Ultimately, I'm sure even if they were willing, it would be, well, sure, you want to buy it,
Right.
which we could, good, but anyway.
All our savings from somewhere else.
So that's where we're at right now, is this one, you put it pretty far in, as far as we can. We'll have to look at exactly where we own, or not own, where we have our easement, and then cut back this way and go there. So this one, both sides are pretty complex, mostly because the drainage ditches are tough. You can't build in the ditch, you can't build, unless there's a curb and gutter, which there is on some parts of this, so it'll work. But you can't build right against the edge unless there's curb and gutter. So you have to go pretty far in, which is fine. That's where the existing sidewalk is. It's ideal, but it works. So follow the existing until you get to. So still follow existing. This is all drainage ditch. You have to go pretty far in, kind of up on this little hill here. And all the way over here. Here there's this massive drainage ditch, and there's a pole here that presents some problems. So you could either go pretty far in, cut, and then go around the pole, or we could look at doing something where we actually cut through some of these trees into right along the edge, or even inside. So I'll ask the engineers what their thoughts are on that.
And moving the pole is not an option?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I could ask Wheatley. It's a possibility.
Probably our pole. Isn't it?
Right.
It is, yeah, it's our pole. This has curb and gutter. And so we talked about doing, once you hit over here, because you can't be in the ditch. Once you hit here, we talked about doing right up against the edge. Which is less safe, but you do have the curb as a buffer. That isn't uncommon in cities, and it eliminates the water line issue, and it eliminates the going through yards and having to leave so much.
That's kind of like how 15th
15th is butts
yeah.
up against, but is that sidewalk wider than 4 foot?
I think so. That's every place I've seen sidewalk right up against the road. It's usually on like a main road that's high speed limit, and the sidewalk is a lot wider. Now this isn't a super high speed limit. I don't know what it is. It 30?
30.
So
It
it's
is
not
busy.
It is
Yeah.
busy.
It's a real busy
It's
street.
busy for Perry, right?
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. Either that or you go inside pretty far. And then if you go inside pretty far, you're going to have to weave, right? You'll go here, cut, or turn. So it'll be meandering until you hit this existing stuff.
And so when you get to that part of Locust, it's all got the drainage under the street and curbs and...
Yeah, the drainage is it's worse on some areas than others. I don't remember everything along here, but you can kind of see, right, so that has some. And then this one over here by 9th Street was the worst. The drainage is terrible right there.
I don't know that I've got a problem with butting it up to the curb. I mean, that's, my wife and I walk 15th Street.
And right now you're on the street, right?
Well, I mean, it's right against the curb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought, sorry, Locust,
No,
people
we
are
don't
walking
walk.
Locust right now,
No, we
but
don't
right now
walk
they're in the street, right?
And what I said is on 15th Street, it's got the sidewalk that butts up to the curb, so. And there are some people that I'm sure are driving faster than 35, but.
Right. But the nice thing about that is, you know, people bring up speed limit. There are other ways to mitigate speed limit, right? You can put speed bumps, you can post those electric signs that flash, you can focus the officers to focus on certain areas to kind of teach habits. But stocks are, I mean, some of these other problems are maybe more difficult to surmount. So, and then all this, we could either existing, as long as it has curb and gutter, I can make a recommendation based on the engineer's thoughts that we go right up against. If it doesn't have curb and gutter, we'll have to go in pretty far to hit the existing stuff. And that will be all the way, so I don't think any of this does, all the way back to where we started, which were a block ahead.
Went too far.
You went too far, you were at the.
Right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Any other thoughts? I know this took a long time. I knew it would, but I think it's, you know, it's important to get this right as we can. No, not everyone will be happy.
One of the things that you and I had talked about, kind of going back to 15th Street and that section, you know, if we kept that north side, could we take that chunk of grass there and extend or widen the road? Because during school pickup, there's people that will park along there and it gets really tight getting in and out of, I mean, when there's people parked on both sides of 15th and Locust, I mean, I don't think an ambulance could get through there if they needed to. It gets pretty congested.
Yeah, we talked about doing that, and I think I'd have to look at our easement, but I'm assuming that we have the ability to do that anytime for.
Because there's that strip of grass between the
this
sidewalk and the street there.
Yeah, and then even on this side, Critter said the drainage here, and the engineers looking at it agreed it's useless. There's no reason to have it. It's
Right.
it's a non-issue and was put in a long time ago before it was. So anyway, they talked about eliminating that.
Right.
So you know, cut that in.
Right. Because there's even people that live right there that they park on the street. You still gotta get
Right.
around. But if
Yeah.
we just widen like that one block area.
Make room for it.
Right.
Yeah, let me ask them about it, see what they would recommend, see if we can come up with a proposal.
So what you're saying is, Nate, is once you have a little clear idea of what the engineering would look like, you'd come back again and share it with us.
Yep. Yeah, I'll come back with a better recommendation, but this I wanted to get kind of initial
See our thoughts on
thoughts, yeah. Because I didn't want them to start working on, you know, something and we were totally off base, because I didn't get feedback initially.
So what happened to the project to take the first sidewalk to the interstate?
Over to BMAC.
It's in the environmental process right now, so it's
So
one
it's in
step
process as
further
well.
than we're
Okay.
at with these.
For some reason, I thought it was the first one, but it's not.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually further along in the process.
Right.
It's already designed and all that
okay.
stuff's done.
So that's this.
As well as, yeah.
Okay, any last thoughts on that? Well, if you have something, let me know. And I'll send it to the engineers in the next couple of days. So. Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah. I'd also remember to go talk to Wilda and the doc office right in there and kind of get their input and insight.
Yeah,
on that as well.
we'll talk to them.
In the school.
And school. Yeah.
Yeah,
About the
school.
crosswalk and.
What I'll probably do is get some ideas from engineers first because they're gonna be constrained by the ADA side, and so
Right.
they'll say these are our two options, and I'll take it to them and see what they think at that point.
Do we need to make any action?
Yeah, we need to approve the contract.
Oh.
So it'd be item 13.
Oh, on the agreement?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And this isn't, this is up for negotiation still. ODOT will negotiate this with the engineering firm. This is gonna give us the general scope, and start us on this process.
Right. And with this, as part of this agreement, so we are appropriating and committing $96,050 in local matching funds for this project.
Yeah.
Do we, where that's coming from?
General.
Yeah, Russ, you remember when we allocated this? I was here when we did it, but it's been
It says general fund.
a lot of months.
Says the local share has been appropriated as part of the general fund budget.
Well,
It was part of the budget. Yeah.
we actually, whatever we originally discussed, we had put aside the money in for years. And so it's part of fund balance carry forward at this point.
Okay. Just carry
And carry it over from FY '23, '24. So it's on the restricted cash scale.
So it's already been pigeonholed.
Yeah, there's $276,000 of match money for
Those are
sidewalks
sidewalks.
already set aside. You guys don't ever see it in your, that's the phase, that's the first one going out, ballparks, and then this being the second one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I move we have the agreement.
Second.
Okay. So I have roll call.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Yes.
Goldar. Russ.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 14.
Can I ask a question before we go on? I didn't really think it was that important when we talked about it the first time, but the curve right there by the veterinary clinic, you were going to ask if they could reduce that speed limit or something there. I almost got killed. I looked, I swear I looked, and I
Yeah,
pulled,
it's
there
hard to
was,
see
and there was
right
a
there.
car on top of me coming out of Perry.
Oh,
that
15,
By the
that's
cemetery,
15.
yeah.
Yes, right there. I was coming off of 15th
Yeah.
on the.
Right.
It's hard to
Talking
see
about
right
an
there.
Emerging lane, I think.
Well,
or
it's just-
something.
but
Yeah, I
I
asked
think it's
ODOT
ODOT.
to, you guys asked me to ask ODOT to do something on that, and their response was, well, we'll look into a study and see if we think it's necessary. If it's not, then you can do it at your cost. So I just need to follow up with them and see where that's at.
Okay.
I'll send them an email. Thank you. For the reminder.
Yeah.
See, I can guess.
It shocked me how fast that car was on top of me.
And Nate, I was thinking on the sidewalk deal in front of the Care and those other offices there. They did something similar or something that might work in front of Powers and the other building next to them. There was this, I think there was a similar issue in that area.
And that is nice.
You might,
It has a rail.
That's right,
I
yeah.
think it has a rail and stairs.
Yeah.
And they've done it on down, I think, too, at the 6th and
I'll take a look at it and let them know you guys liked that and see what they think.
yeah, that
You know, because that's effective and good looking.
works good.
All right, item 14. Consider approval of resolution number 2024-15 to authorize Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group to return escrow account workers' compensation premium funds in the amount of $171,421.60 to the city of Perry.
We overpaid insurance, we're getting some back.
We did intentionally overpay. Our losses were less than what
Right.
the projected numbers were. Our percentage refund comes back in this number. Make me look like we overpaid money, man. Come on.
Where does that go into?
Believe me, I don't intentionally pay money.
That's good. What does that go into?
It gets back into the general fund, and we allocated against, we anticipate, when we start out the year, we budget workers' comp a little less. About $60,000 is what we would have budgeted less. So we're going to end up with a net, $110,000 more than what we anticipated those numbers to be.
Well, when I read that, I just wondered, do we need to thank somebody for managing the workers' comp?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Oh, no, this is 2022 or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it is a good thing. I mean, if somebody's managing that correctly and we.
Christy does an awesome job with it, actually. She's over it.
Is there,
Yes, approve the resolution.
we have to approve, get money back? Okay.
Well, they want us to approve a resolution and fill in the number.
Motion.
They'd be more than happy to keep the money. Yeah, they're calling me, they can keep the cash as long as I can.
Did you get my motion?
I got you.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Let's have roll call.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Aye.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 15. Consider approval of payment of $12,243.75 as the November 2024 monthly invoice from Cimarron Valley Engineering LLC. So it's for Matco.
I move we approve the engineering invoices.
Second.
Okay. Is that roll call?
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 16, any new business?
Wait. We have item 16.
We have.
It's the updated agenda.
Oh. So we got,
It's not on.
Mine, it's not on here.
oh,
Is it not on the
I have it, yeah.
No, it's okay.
It's on the electronic.
Somebody have it.
one.
No.
I pulled up the electric
It's
one on.
electronic.
It's in here, but it's not on here.
Right.
You mean,
Your-
the data's in the back, it's just not on the agenda.
Yeah.
Did it not? I thought I put the agenda in there too, but maybe I didn't.
You got it.
If I can scroll through.
Okay, there we go. Item 16, consider acceptance and agreement of sanitary sewer easement from Sooners Corner Incorporated for 32nd Street Sanitary Sewer Project.
And we do have associated attachments. Did you get that?
I didn't do it, man.
Yeah, so this was kind of a last minute thing. We got it done. This is for the extension of that sewer line on 32nd Street. And we just acquired the easement, right? We need to accept it.
Gotcha.
And this is for the actual extension of the sewer.
Well, it's the tip from the existing manhole on the Hall property to 32nd Street and then run it down.
Because you said the last time Matt talked, you thought we might be able to run it further than we thought because it was.
Because of the
more funding.
bid, because of the bid,
Yeah.
yes.
It's lower, yeah.
Okay.
One thing on that, could we clarify where Matt wants to take, I don't want to mix up what we're talking about here, but what he brought up, I took it as he wanted to take it west on the north side of the highway versus taking it west on our property towards, and it'd be nice to clarify.
Can we bring that back to you at the next
Yeah,
meeting?
where,
I think that would be helpful. I was confused on that too.
yeah, and if we have a choice, I think it would be beneficial to do it on our own property versus doing it.
Well, hoping that you get it other properties, because that's what I was thought to use.
Yeah. Let's clarify that,
Gotcha.
but, sorry, that does have to do with this project, so I think it's okay to talk about, but it's different, different than
So do we have to vote to table that then, or can we just?
No,
not do it?
No, we can still do this one.
Someone accept this.
Yeah.
Okay.
The easement.
Yeah.
I move we accept the easement.
We have a second?
Second.
Yep, second. And roll call.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 17, any new business? Seeing none. Item 18, adjourned.
So moved.
All right, roll call.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's call our meeting to order for regular meeting for the Perry Municipal Authority. And have roll call.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Davis. Present. Goldar.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown. Wortham.
Here. All right, we've got quorum. Item 1, consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Coffee. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Rupp?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Wortham?
Yes. Item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to items on the PMA. Nope. Item 5, new business. Item 6, adjourn.
So moved.
And Coffee?
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Rupp?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Wortham?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's call our meeting to order for the Perry Facilities Authority and have roll call.
Coffee?
Here.
Bledsoe?
Here.
Marshall?
Here.
Davis? Here. Goldar?
Here.
Rupp?
Here.
Williams?
Here.
Brown? Wortham?
Here, item 1, consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Coffee?
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Rupp?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Wortham?
Yes. Item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to items on the PFA agenda. Seeing none. Item 5, new business. Item 6, adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Nobody wants to leave.
Coffee?
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Goldar?
No.
Rupp?
Yes.
Williams? Wortham?
Yes.
Yes.